The Trump presidency has had a profound impact on the American economy, leaving a legacy that continues to influence the financial landscape of the nation. From tariffs and trade wars that disrupted global supply chains and affected international relations, to healthcare and environmental policies that have sparked intense debate, the decisions made during his time in office have had far-reaching consequences. These policies have touched every sector, from the health of our citizens to the health of our planet. These policies will continue to shape the economic landscape for years to come, influencing everything from market stability to job growth and technological innovation. Many of these policies have placed a significant financial burden on American families, making it harder for them to make ends meet. Rising costs in healthcare, education, and everyday goods have strained household budgets. This essay will delve into the specific ways in which Trump's policies have made life more expensive for ordinary Americans, examining the direct and indirect costs that have emerged. The focus will be on key areas like tariffs, which have increased the price of imported goods; healthcare, where policy changes have led to higher premiums and out-of-pocket costs; environmental rollbacks that have long-term health and economic implications; tax cuts that have primarily benefited the wealthy; infrastructure spending that has been inconsistent; and education, where funding cuts have affected the quality of learning. By examining these policies, we can gain a better understanding of the economic challenges facing the country today. We will look at expert analyses, statistical data, and real-life stories to paint a comprehensive picture of the current economic climate. It is crucial to analyze the long-term effects of these policies and consider their impact on future generations. The decisions made today will shape the opportunities and challenges that our children and grandchildren will face, making it imperative to understand and address these issues now. One of the most direct ways Trump's policies have affected Americans' wallets is through tariffs and trade wars. Tariffs are essentially taxes on imported goods. When the Trump administration imposed tariffs on goods from countries like China, Mexico, and Canada, it led to a chain reaction of price increases. Importers had to pay more for goods, and those costs were passed down to consumers. This meant that everyday items like washing machines, clothing, and even groceries became more expensive.
The trade wars also hurt American businesses that relied on exports. When other countries retaliated with tariffs of their own, it made American products more costly and less competitive in the global market. This resulted in lost sales and, in some cases, job losses.
Healthcare costs were already a major concern for Americans before Trump took office. However, his administration's efforts to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, without a comprehensive replacement plan exacerbated the problem. The ACA had expanded health insurance coverage to millions of Americans.
The Trump administration's actions, such as weakening the individual mandate and promoting short-term health plans, led to higher premiums and deductibles for many. These changes made it more difficult for people to afford health insurance and access necessary medical care. The uncertainty surrounding healthcare policy also created anxiety and confusion for families trying to navigate the system.
The Trump administration's environmental policies have also had significant economic consequences. Rolling back environmental regulations might have seemed like a way to boost business in the short term, but these actions came at a cost. Weakening regulations on air and water pollution, for instance, led to increased health risks and environmental damage.
These problems translate into real costs for communities, including higher healthcare expenses, decreased property values, and the need for costly cleanup efforts. Moreover, the administration's withdrawal from the Paris Agreement on climate change signaled a lack of commitment to addressing a global crisis that poses significant economic threats, such as more frequent and severe natural disasters.
Section 5. Tax cuts. A boon for some, a burden for many. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 was a signature legislative achievement for the Trump administration. While proponents argued that the tax cuts would stimulate economic growth and benefit all Americans, the reality has been more complicated. The law did reduce taxes for corporations and individuals, but the benefits were heavily skewed towards the wealthy.
This exacerbated income inequality and did little to boost wages for ordinary workers. Additionally, the tax cuts contributed to a larger federal budget deficit, which could lead to cuts in social programs or an increase in the national debt in the future. This means that future generations will be left to grapple with the economic consequences of these policies.
Section 6. Crumbling infrastructure, a costly legacy. Despite promises to invest in infrastructure, the Trump administration failed to deliver a comprehensive plan to address America's aging roads, bridges, airports, and other critical systems. This lack of investment has real-world consequences, as anyone who has experienced a pothole-ridden commute or a delayed flight can attest.
Deteriorating infrastructure leads to increased transportation costs, reduced productivity, and safety hazards. It also hampers job creation in the construction and engineering sectors as projects are delayed or canceled. The failure to invest in infrastructure is a missed opportunity that will continue to cost Americans in the years to come. Section 7. Education undermined, a future economic drain. Education is crucial for individual and national economic success. However, the Trump administration proposed significant cuts to education funding, targeting programs that benefit low-income students, students with disabilities, and minority students.
These cuts, while ultimately not fully implemented, reflected a short-sighted approach to education policy. Investing in education, particularly early childhood education, has been shown to have long-term economic benefits.
By reducing funding for education, the Trump administration risked exacerbating existing inequalities and limiting opportunities for future generations. A less educated workforce is less competitive in the global economy, which ultimately hurts the country's long-term economic prospects. Section 8. The widening gap, inequality, and economic instability. A recurring theme throughout many of Trump's policies is the exacerbation of income inequality.
Whether it's through tax cuts that disproportionately benefit the wealthy, attempts to dismantle social safety net programs, or deregulation that often favors large corporations over workers, the gap between the rich and the poor has widened under his watch.
This growing inequality has profound implications for the economy. When a larger share of the economic pie goes to a smaller segment of the population, it can stifle economic growth and lead to greater economic instability. A strong middle class is essential for a healthy economy, and policies that erode the middle class ultimately harm everyone. Section 9. The uncertain future, long-term economic consequences. As we look to the future, we must consider the long-term economic consequences of the policies implemented during the Trump administration. It's clear that the economic consequences of Trump's policies are not just immediate, but will continue to be felt for years to come. The decisions made during this period have set in motion a series of events that will shape the economic landscape for future generations. The economic downturns, the shifts in trade policies, and the changes in tax regulations are all factors that will have a lasting impact. These policies have created a ripple effect, influencing everything from job markets to international trade relations.
The national debt, fueled by tax cuts and increased spending, has reached unprecedented levels. This growing debt will place a significant burden on future generations, limiting their economic opportunities and financial stability. Future generations will inherit this debt, which could lead to higher taxes and reduced government spending on essential services such as education, healthcare, and social security. The burden of this debt will be felt in every aspect of their lives. The lack of investment in education and infrastructure will limit economic opportunities and make it harder for the US to compete in the global economy. Without proper funding, schools will struggle to provide quality education, and infrastructure will continue to deteriorate, hindering economic growth. The US's ability to compete in the global market will be compromised, affecting everything from trade to technological advancements. The long-term economic health of the nation depends on its ability to innovate and compete on a global scale.
The environmental damage caused by rolling back regulations will require costly cleanup efforts. The short-term economic gains from deregulation are overshadowed by the long-term costs of environmental degradation. These cleanup efforts will be expensive and time-consuming, diverting resources from other critical areas. The environmental damage will also have a lasting impact on public health and the quality of life for future generations. The long-term health consequences of environmental damage include increased rates of respiratory illnesses, cardiovascular diseases, and other health issues. These health problems will place an additional burden on the healthcare system and the economy. Addressing these challenges will require a commitment to responsible fiscal policy, a renewed focus on investing in the future, and a recognition that a strong economy depends on a strong middle class and a healthy environment. Policymakers must prioritize long-term economic stability over short-term gains. Investing in infrastructure, education, and renewable energy will create jobs, stimulate economic growth, and ensure a sustainable future. These investments are essential for building a resilient economy that can withstand future challenges. A strong middle class and a healthy environment are the foundations of a prosperous economy. By prioritizing these areas, we can create a future where economic opportunities are accessible to all, and the quality of life is improved for everyone. Section 10. A call to action, addressing the economic burden. In this section, we delve into the intricate and often challenging economic landscape that has emerged over recent years. The economic legacy of the Trump presidency is complex and multifaceted. It is a tapestry woven with threads of both growth and hardship, affecting various sectors and demographics in different ways.
While there were periods of economic growth during his time in office, marked by a booming stock market and low unemployment rates, these benefits were not evenly distributed. Many of his policies have had a negative impact on the financial well-being of ordinary Americans. The tax cuts, for instance, favored the wealthy and corporations, leaving middle and lower-income families struggling to make ends meet. From tariffs and trade wars that increased the cost of goods, to healthcare policies that made medical care more expensive, and environmental rollbacks that jeopardized public health, these policies have made life more expensive and less secure for many. Small business owners, in particular, faced increased costs and uncertainty, making it harder for them to thrive.
It is crucial to acknowledge these challenges and work towards solutions that create a more just and equitable economy for all. This means listening to the voices of those most affected and crafting policies that address their needs. This requires a commitment to responsible government spending, ensuring that taxpayer dollars are used efficiently and effectively to benefit the public. Investments in education and infrastructure are essential. By improving our schools and building modern infrastructure, we can create jobs and lay the foundation for long-term economic growth. Additionally, policies that protect the environment and promote sustainable growth are vital. Investing in renewable energy sources like wind and solar can create new industries and reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. By learning from the mistakes of the past, we can chart a better economic course for the future. This involves not only recognizing where we went wrong, but also being proactive in implementing changes that foster a more inclusive and resilient economy. Together, we can build a future where economic opportunities are accessible to all, where the environment is protected, and where every individual has the chance to thrive. This is our call to action.